Joining us for more on what to expect from Tesla, I want to bring in Dan Ives, Wedbush Securities Managing Director and Senior Equity Research Analyst. He's an outperform rating on Tesla and a $1,000 price target. You're in a car. It's not a Tesla, right? You're coming back from the GM?
Yeah, I'm at the GM Analyst Day where they've really talked about the transformation on EVs happening with Mary Barra leading the charge. But this is a big day, not just GM, but with the Tesla shareholder meeting as part of this green tidal wave.
Tesla had the market to itself for a while, Dan. Not completely to itself, but it's now looking increasingly crowded. Why does Tesla still deserve the premium?
Well, I've never viewed Tesla as an automobile company. I've always viewed them as a disruptive technology player. And I think when you look at the overall $5 trillion market opportunity in EVs, Tesla is going to continue to lead that charge. And the big focus today is going to be about capacity improvements. Of course, Austin, not coincidentally, that they're hosting the shareholder meeting there. That and Berlin are sort of the 1-2 punch to really expand capacity going into next year. And we're just continuing to see this green tidal wave play out. What Tesla did in 3Q with their back against the wall and the chip shortage is just continues to be another feather in the cap for the bulls.
Hey, so what gets us to your $1,000 price target? What's going to be that catalyst?
Well, I think that catalyst is going to be going into Q4 and into next year. I think we could be looking at close to 900,000 units. And then more and more you start to go into next year, we could be looking at 1.3, 1.4 million units. And the chip shortage has been overhang, not just on Tesla, but the overall EV market. I think that starts to clear going into later this year, early next year. And I think this is something where investors continue to underappreciate the market. And I think specifically with Tesla, still in the early innings of what I view as just this green tidal wave playing out.
Dan, if Tesla's not a car company, then I guess you could probably think about it as a software company. Certainly that seems to be where a lot of the value may reside. Apple, now looking like it's basically trying to crank up its software that it has in cars right now, maybe rolling that out to become something a little bit more at the moment. I get into my car, the Apple system sort of handles a lot of what I'm dealing with in terms of navigation and entertainment, but it's not into the AC, it's not into the speedometer, it's not into a lot of the kind of core components of the car. Apple wants to go in that direction. If Apple does that and it goes there, how does that change the game for the wider sector?
Well, I think first off, 2024, we believe Apple comes out with the Apple car through a partnership, strategic partnership with the likes most likely of VW. And this is just a drum roll to what I view as Apple, the next step of innovation. And they're not going to look at this green tidal wave from the outside looking in. If you look at autonomous and a lot of the technology they developed in Cupertino, I think this is going to be really the next stage of innovation for Apple. And what we're really seeing here, when you take a step back, it's technology and automotive merging. You're really seeing a convergence of that. And that's something that we expect to see with Apple going further and further into next year, and 2024 really being the year where I see it getting rolled out.
So, Dan, where does that leave Tesla then in relation to Apple?
Well, Tesla's going to continue to be on the top of the mountain in this EV race. It's an arms race going on. Look at the likes of what GM, Ford do. And I think GM's rolled out a massive amount of models coming out over the next, call it 4 or 5 years that could transform GM. But this is a green tidal wave. It's only 2% of automotive sold are EVs today in the U.S. That's the opportunity going forward. Going to be many winners in this, shift to EVs.
Dan, I look at what is happening here in Europe. I look at what's happening in the States. I look at the energy crisis that we're experiencing, making sure that we have enough supply and storage critically for what we're doing. Do you think car companies are increasingly going to be perceived as the solution there? I noticed that the new Ford F-150, you can power your house for 3 days off it. How big a selling point is that going to be, and who do you think is going to be best there? Because I have to say, if I was looking at a car and trying to figure out whether or not actually it had some redundancy for my wider life, that would be fantastic.
Well, I think that's it. It's really starting to happen among automotive. I think what you're seeing, GM roll out, Ford, and a lot of these other EV players. I think they're going to start to be viewed more and more, not just as a car company, but from power supply and what you're seeing. And there's a shift. You start to see what we're seeing in Europe. You start to look at oil prices overall. That's just more and more of an acceleration toward EVs. And automakers more and more are going to control their ecosystem. That's why it's a renaissance going on in the automotive sector.
What kind of car is that, Dan?
I'm in an Escalade right now, coming out of the GM Analyst Day, and if you look what they're, I think the Hummer is coming around the corner, and I think that's a special vehicle on the EV.
Great stuff. Dan, thanks very much indeed. Get out of the way when it comes around the corner. Dan Ives
Thank
of
you.
Wedbush Securities. Greatly appreciate it.